In my past few uploads, I've made videos about whether rich geniuses support idiots, or would rich idiots beat poor geniuses. But one thing I noticed within those videos is a lot of the time, it came down to land versus resources. So today, we're simply going to see, does population or resources win? And you'll see what I mean. So first, we gotta get rid of all this stupid land. Now that that's done, we can go make our own island. And I know this doesn't look like the best, but I hope you see what we're getting at here. On the right side, which is roughly half the size of the left side, we're going to put a kingdom of normal people, but they have tons and tons of resources, except this is all the land they have to work with, as you can see the mountains separating them here. And on the left side, we'll have all this land to work with, but they're going to have no resources given to them. So we're going to put some biomes down. And now we're going to put some trees down. We are going to turn off something here. As you can see, some minerals still just naturally spawn every now and then. And since we don't want the left side having any resources, we're going to have to turn that off. So here in world laws, we're just going to turn this off from spawning randomly. To fix the right side mineral issue, we're simply going to, every once in a while, we're simply just going to spawn them in. Like so. We're going to give the right side as many minerals as they want and need. And that should be good for now. And on the left side, we're actually going to use this pickaxe to make sure there's nothing over here. And it should stay that way. And now, it's simply time for the people. We're going to start with 2 people on the no resources side. We're going to have, I don't know, Janet and Steven, but with a V, because Stevens with a V always have to be different for some reason. And on the right side, we're going to spawn 2 other people. Despite both of these guys being dudes, we're going to name this one Maxine, because I feel like naming them like that. What are you going to do about it? And we'll name this guy Steven too. He has no knowledge of the existence of the first Steven, but he just assumes that there's a Steven out there better than him. And now they will begin their lives. In world laws, we are going to turn off old age, because who really cares about that? And we're also going to turn off rebellions too. Now, in my past videos, we've had to sit through and wait for these 2 societies to develop very quickly. But with the help of the debug menu, we can make these kingdoms expand fairly quickly, which is exactly what I plan to do. We're going to go fast cultures, fast population growth, fast zone growth, fast construction, fast city upgrades, city unlimited houses. Obviously, we will not be doing infinite resources, as that would just make the left overpowered. So let's see how quickly they develop. If you look here, look at this city. I mean, it's just making houses out of absolutely nothing. It can already hold 400 people. Same over here, we might have created a monster. Their culture is already almost maxed, and it's been literally minutes. Seconds, actually. So I've noticed that even though the cities are growing really quickly, the populations are still growing pretty slow. Despite having 11 people, the city can hold over 1,000 people. We're gonna rename these kingdoms. Land of the rich, and home of the poor. I don't know. Already looking at the resources here, well, we're still, as we can see here, the land of the rich and their capital Papa have already harvested many of the minerals, at least the ones they have access to, and have made ample amounts of armor. However, over here on the poor side, absolutely nothing. So when the war comes, it is true that this left side will have roughly double the population of the right side. They're gonna have absolutely no equipment at all. And oh my god, what just happened? Steven just got killed. Steven 1. What does this mean for Steven 2? Why is he low in health too? Why is he cursed? Steven 2, you have now been promoted to Steven 1. Jeanette is the only one who remains on this side. So as we see here, the home of the poor is slowly beginning to surpass the land of the rich, and the land of the rich is also running out of land to expand into for the time being. Already begun forming their army, which as we can see here, is already completely decked out in adamantium from the start. On the other hand, the poor army is literally defending themselves with their bare hands for the time being. And the real challenge here might be if my computer crashes or not, because 15,000 entities is a lot of people. So just to make a quick comparison of the resourceness on each side, I don't know if that's a word. Let's look at the king. The king of the entire poor empire has leather boots, leather chest plate, and a steel bow, which they probably got from mines they have constructed. On the other hand, let's just look at an average soldier of one of their random armies. We'll go here. Look at this. This is a random soldier. There's nothing special about him. He's not even a general of the battalion he's in. He has adamantium boots and a hat and then a wood stick. That part's not important. But look at this. This guy would defeat the king in a battle alone. And look at this guy. Mithril armor, boots, helmets, and a impaler too. Jesus Christ, did you guys see that? Both sides have a severe starvation issue, mainly the land of the rich. At this point, I'm just going to skip ahead until both sides have reached pretty much a maximum population and they're ready for war, and I'll see you guys then.
2 hours later.
So after waiting quite a long time, as you can see here, I think these two kingdoms are pretty much ready to go to war. I couldn't really fix the starvation issue, so it still says starving, but in settings, I actually just turned off hunger, because like that's not really what we're trying to do here. Let's look at some stats right before the war begins. So, in terms of population, the land of the rich, despite having about half the land, maybe a bit more or less than half, a little bit more than half the population of the poor, but it's still a big difference, and they only have 4,600 soldiers. On the other hand, the poor have nearly 8,500 soldiers. And we're going to look at the kings here. By the way, I did give each king the exact same traits to make them militarist, as you can see down here, just so they'll have more soldiers fighting. And as you can see, the king always gets the best equipment in the entire game. So this is the best equipment that is available in the entire poor empire of well over 20,000 people. A steel amulet, bone ring, adamantium boots, steel armor, a legendary adamantium helmet, and a steel bow. Not bad. These two pieces of adamantium asset came from meteor strikes that came off and on. But let's look on the other side of the rich. But if we look at the king of this army, everything, with the exception of this, is legendary adamantium armor. It's absolutely insane. And it goes beyond just the king. There's so much adamantium spread about. Random soldier. Completely random soldier here. Adamantium. Let's look at another one. Adamantium. Adamantium. These guys are ready for war, even though they have so much less people. And let's look on the other side. We're gonna take a look, and here, I believe this is actually the leader of the entire regiment here in this city. Best thing he's got is a wood bow. Next guy, nothing. This guy, a stone axe. This guy, nothing. Nothing. So while the poor have 4,000 more troops, they have absolutely no equipment at all. So now it's time. We're gonna drop the wall. We're gonna, oh look at that, that's perfect. That was satisfying right there. And we are going to declare war. And this war is going to be huge. So many people are gonna die. Here comes an army now. See, if you notice here, in this battle that I'm trying to do, rich people have bows, and the poor people, if you look here, it looks like one guy has a bow, and he just died a second ago. The rich army completely just decimated that poor army. So the numbers advantage might not be that big of a deal. But as we can look here, thousands probably of poor troops are heading in to fight. So the question here is, will they just be able to overwhelm the rich people as they are also sending their forces in as well? A huge battle up north. This is quite literally probably thousands of people. And the poor do have a lot of bows at their advantage, but it looks like it's not for much. And we're going to take a quick look at the war stats. I'm not going to do this too much, but only 1 year has passed, and despite having significantly less troops, as I said earlier, they only have 200 people who have died because of their much better armor. On the other hand, the poor people have 3,000 more soldiers, but they've lost way more. Proportionately, they can't keep this up. And also, if you look here at the king of the poor empire, Queen, they've already taken some armor from rich soldiers who have fallen, which is another thing that can happen. But say the poor troops win a battle, they can take the armor from the rich troops that they have slain and use that for themselves. So the more battles that the poor win, the more armor and resources they obtain. And especially if they take some of these villages too. But it looks like this city right here of Yuto is beginning to fall, which means more population for the rich people. And this has to be at least 1,000 soldiers are going into battle against the rich people, and I'm not sure if they can take it. Poor troops are just being absolutely sent into the right, and nothing changes. They're getting decimated. But I do want to note something here. If you look in the city of Usina, into their armory, they have lots of armor, because this is armor taken off of troops from the land of the rich. As we can see here, that most of this armor, if actually all of it, was created in the land of the rich, and it was taken off soldiers. This armor can now be recycled and sent back into troops of this city. Looking at population numbers now, it doesn't look very good for the poor, as the land of the rich have taken some key cities, and they're even taking more. So despite starting off with nearly 4,000 as troops. They're about to take a major city, and they just did, and now they have more people. After just 3 years, throughout the entire war, in just 3 years, the Kingdom of the Poor have lost 6,200 soldiers already, while the rich have just lost 1,500. And if we note back to the beginning of the war, the rich started with 4,500, so they have a net loss of 1,000 soldiers, but the Kingdom of the Poor has a net loss of nearly 6,000 soldiers too. This armor has just done them wonders. And if we look back here, the poor are making sort of a comeback. They've sent armies in, and they have retaken the city of Livocio, and looks like they're about to retake Uto. But another city of Uzina is about to fall back into poor hands. And now, just like that, the poor have a huge population advantage again. And if you look here in an interesting decision, many of the armies, which are signified by these banners, of each of these cities on the land of the rich have simply just not moved or even tried to attack. The land of the rich have mainly been operating with about these 3 armies here. There's like 3 or 4 armies that they've been using. It's interesting to me to see that the villages that are most directly on the front line are the villages that have all the armor. But if we look at villages that are no longer on the front line, like this one of Pinyork, which was a frontline village like when the war started, has already sent all of its armor back into circulation. But these cities that were just recently captured have absolutely so much stuff to work with. On a much better note, as we can see here, that the Queen Jeanette of the Poor is much more decked out now, but troops are now approaching her capital city of Dodran, and once they kill her, who knows who else will be put into power. And if we look here at this soldier, as we can see, part of the poor army, he has actually gotten quite a bit of adamantium that he can use to his advantage. The only issue with that is that he's approaching a massive army of rich people and will get killed in seconds. Yeah, there you go. And an absolutely huge battle is taking place here in Livocio, as both sides, which are kind of hard to differentiate, are just churning themselves into a meat grinder. And it looks like in this battle, which is going at a very slow pace, that the rich are going to win, but it is kind of hard to tell. But if we move up here in the north, a rich army has moved into the capital city of Dodran. The fighting continues to be confusing, as the rich are about to take this state of Nirsk, while the poor are about to retake Yugoko. But they are having success in the capital right now, so they might try to stay there. However, the king is in the north part of the capital, and he's doing, the queen is doing just fine. Unless she walks over here. Why would she walk over to a band of enemy soldiers? And they got her. Hedui has ended Queen Jeanette of the Poor. And the city of Nirsk is about to be recaptured again, and this war is just going on for a really long time. Based on the death numbers, I mean, yeah, 10,000 people have already died. But yet the population graphics really haven't changed since the last time we looked at them. And the capital city of Dodran just fell. And it looks like with the city of Nirsk about to fall, never mind again. Oh, there we go, now it's falling. Never mind. Okay, it's going back up again. Okay, with the city of Nirsk falling, that this war is essentially over, I think. And the 2 capital cities have just fallen back into poor hands. I have no clue what's going on here. This war's been going 20-some years. Literally, almost pretty much 10,000 of them have died. They have 700 soldiers left. They have 10,000 less people now fighting for them, and they are still alive. Finally, it looks like some of these villages are being completely taken. Rich armies have been shooting into the land, and now the final city of the poor kingdom is beginning to fall. Right before it falls, though, we're going to see the final stats of the war. The war took 26 years, and in total, 13,500 soldiers died. At the start of the war, remember, the poor had 8,500 soldiers, and the rich had 4,500 soldiers. In total, only 2,700 total soldiers died, and on the other hand, 10,000 poor soldiers died. Monumental. It's pretty clear that despite having more people, if you don't have the armor or the weapons to back it up, you're not going to win the war. And with that, the war has ended, and the land of the rich reigns supreme. And with that, that'll be the end of today's video. If you guys like this video or have any other ideas, simply let me know, and I'll probably do it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Farewell.